I kept asking the administration then, why do you keep dismissing that this isn't a radical Islamist organization called Boko Haram? Yeah, they hate moderate Muslims too. I've heard that, like as I said, from many imams myself, and they certainly hate Christians and will kill them to procure their ends. So I just, we need to have that in all human rights. I found that be the case. The author of 2 laws on religious freedom. I did the Frank Wolf bill in 2016, which put entities of particular concern, a lot of other things into the law, working with Frank, who's in retirement, Wolf, that champion for religious freedom. And I got to tell you, every time I talk to a delegate prosecutor.
So don't forget as well, there are those who are pushing Sharia, political Sharia in Nigeria. When they started, they said the real Sharia doesn't affect anyone who is a non-Muslim. So it was easier, because if you read about the Sharia, that's actually what it says. It is just for Muslims. They want to settle marital issue, monetary issue, and some of those civil matters. And then when it comes to the criminal matter as well, if it is legislated upon that they could handle such, the Sharia will handle it when it affects Muslims. It doesn't have anything to do with any Christian or anybody who is non-Muslim. That's what Sharia is. But the political Sharia you have in Nigeria, a young woman, Deborah, was killed by her own supposed colleagues simply because she rebuffed them from sharing religious stuff through their class WhatsApp group. So the next thing, these supposed students, they put a fatwa on her. So at the end of the day, they also targeted her until they found her, beat her, mobbed her, burned her, and then they took pictures, proud of what they did. While the outrage was all over the place, and people expected the government to act. So what happened? Well, they purportedly arrested some of them. And the first day they took them to court, over 30 Islamic lawyers from northern and southern part of Nigeria appeared pro bono for these murderers. They were there to defend them. Also in that same Nigeria, people who have been accused of blasphemy, majority of them are not Muslims. So how can you accuse me of blasphemy and then decided to actually kill me because you think your Sharia says you should kill me if I insult your prophet? So the extremists among them continue to push this to the point that it is actually better to have Islamophobia, to be Islamophobic with these extremists, these murderous seculars. Because those who are wearing suits, those who look normal and call themselves moderate, there are some of them who are actually extremists in suits. They will justify these killings. They will gaslight you and tell you to respect the religion. You too should watch what you say when people are already killed. So they have lawyers, they have doctors, they have professionals like every other person. But they are extremists. Their extreme views are part of what actually fuels these extremists, these murderers, the one that actually kills. We saw all of that happen. People standing trial, condemned to death. Sharia court will sentence me to death. That is the Nigeria they are pushing on us. I am an Ijebu man. I am not from Saudi Arabia. I don't have anything to do with Arabic or Arabs or anything at all. So if your religion, from where I come from, where all of us actually coexist, by the way, that nobody really cares. But they are now pushing the Sharia that one day somebody will accuse me of something and one lunatic will be quoting Arabic nonsense and then sentence me to. Now, this is not an imagination. This is what you have in Nigeria. People sentenced to death by Sharia court. And then you started seeing all these murderous, bloodshot criminals, these Islamists from northern Nigeria. They begin to demand blood in the name of their Allah. So those who are moderate, we always call on them to join us and condemn this, like condemn it genuinely. Speak up. These guys, you said, have misinterpreted this Quran, or they have misinterpreted the religion, but you cannot keeping quiet. But what we found is that even those who claim to be moderate, they are very, very afraid of this murderous terrorist. That they are willing to spend all of their time arguing with you that you don't understand Islam, than for them to actually own up and say this is wrong, because the backlash that will come from it, their own lives will be in danger too. So they would rather not just say it, but they will be interested in teaching you, educating you. So you get trying to gaslight you, talk you away from it. But condemn this, like put your face. Only few could do that. Because what we found is that they themselves are very afraid of them. Here is another. We're going to go back to that here, but here is another.
Christians living in northern Nigeria are being threatened as we speak. Muslims in northern Nigeria want to kill the Christians in northern Nigeria.
duk wani bahaushen mu da sai yana kudu tattaro ya dawo gida yaki za a yi fa in qataluukum faqtuluhum kadhalika jazaa'ul kafirin na rantse muku da girman Allah idan ku fada kuke mu da ma muna sakwata kuma sakwata ne tushen farawa mu za mu fara sai ku karasa din mu za mu taso rigima insha Allah daga karshe sai ku kama mana idan za ku iya kama mana ku bari ku ji za mu kashe ku na rantse muku da girman Allah ni a shirye nake duk wanda yake jin ya shirya ya zo mun magana mu je mu tattauna mu sami tun mu ga yaushe wata rana za mu fita operation tunda haka kuke so a yi sai a yi daga nan Sokoto za mu fara kona su muna fara kashe su tukunna sai Kano a dauka daga nan a wuce Jos duk inda wani kafiri yake za mu kwalkwalo shi mu yanka shi wallahi za mu kwalkwalo shi mu yanka shi yawa wannan shine gobe sallah ko bikin sallan ma ba za a yi ba
Muslims in northern Nigeria want to kill the Christians in northern Nigeria. I am saying this thing now. If you need to forward this message to security agencies, if they are pretending that they don't know what is happening on the social media, forward it to them. I have gotten death threats for simply coming out to talk about the Uromi killing. I wasn't justifying it though. I said it is wrong. And somebody said, if they blow whistle, he will kill me first. Because I am a Christian. And because people who killed their brothers in Uromi are Christians. Who told you that Uromi does not have a mixture of Christian and Muslims? These are the conversations that we need to have in northern Nigeria. I try to promote peaceful coexistence in northern Nigeria, showcase the most beautiful part of northern Nigeria in the best way I can. But in situations like this, I will lend my voice to say the Muslims in northern Nigeria are not doing justice to this. I see a lot of you come out to say this is condemnable. Oh yes, the government should take action. You are giving the government ultimatum to take action. It is good, it is fantastic. Can you also torchlight those Muslims who are inciting violence in their localities? We who live in comfortable areas, who do not live in the slums, are not going to face most of these things. But people who will face it are those ones who live in the slums. Before security agencies get to them, things beyond our control would have happened. People come out now with knives on social media to say they are going to kill Christians. And I'm not seeing anybody say anything about it. Nobody is justifying the killing in Uromi. I did not justify it, but I was said, like, people is here on my comment section. I will post some of them so you can see. Welding knives and saying they are ready. Ready to do what? Gone are those days that in northern Nigeria you have religious crisis. Now, it can never happen again. That one-sided, people are going to be killing another person to a lie. No, it's gone. It's gone. In Plateau State, it has happened. In Kano, it has happened. The very moment you hear an event happen in one place, it picks up in northern Nigeria. Because our people are not educated. They don't even know what's happening. The very moment somebody just tells them, see, they've killed people somewhere, they are trying to attack Islam, finish. People are fighting. A lot of Christians are afraid to live within some communities in northern Nigeria, because any small thing now, they will come and kill you. Oh, we'll come and kill you, we'll come and kill you. I've lived 6 years in Kano. I live peacefully with Muslims. These ones I'm seeing on TikTok, I don't see them because me and them do not mingle in the same circle. But I see them on TikTok here. And guess what? There are people who are within their localities who are Christians that are vulnerable. Nigerian government, this is time for you to take action. No? Don't sit down, fold your hands until this thing happens. These people do not understand we are taking action. These people do not understand we are taking. Go out and clear warning. Say, don't come out or do anything. That's what we want. I beg, let this message spread. The lives of Christians in northern Nigeria is in danger. And one thing I know that is going to happen is there's going to be a retaliation, because if Muslims start to attack Christians in northern Nigeria, Christians will retaliate. Please, please, let us do the needful. There are a lot of things we need to uncover about northern Nigeria. I am trying every day, one topic at a time, to educate people about northern Nigeria. But one thing I'm telling you for now, this is a whistle blowing. This is fire alarm. Do with this information what you will. I don't talk my own.
Thank you, sister. Because most people these days just probably would only see what they want to see. But somehow, on Maiyegun's diary, political, I can put all of them together for you. You see them in a single place. So then what you do with the information is only yours, and yours only. We just hope that our mind would align at a point that we can see the real enemy, not just you and I, seeing ourselves as one. So yeah, Americans are looking into it, but there are those who believe that, no, this is just a false alarm. People like this.
Members of the subcommittee, thank you for convening this critical hearing. The crisis in Nigeria demands our clear-eyed attention, not political exploitation. I'd like to thank our esteemed panelists that have taken the time to come before us today. Thank you for your work on Africa on the ground, and at least one of you brings that experience. However, I must express my shock and, if you will, a bit of outrage that we are not putting into these top positions people who are directly from and represent the culture and the lived experiences of the African people. Currently, we still have unfulfilled positions that are very important, which demonstrates this administration's lack of sincerity towards moving us towards more dialogue as opposed to destruction. The Assistant Secretary for African Affairs has not been appointed or even nominated. The Senior Director for Africa at the NSC has not been appointed or directed for Middle East and African affairs. I've had the honor of traveling to Nigeria now for 4 decades and meeting with Nigerians in the diaspora for decades as well. They are unequivocally some of the most tolerant, productive, and loving people that you will ever meet. We are speaking today about a nation of extraordinary promise and complexity, a country of nearly 240 million people, home to 250 ethnic groups and 2 major religions, Christianity and Islam, that have coexisted and built a society together for generations. The idea that this nation is simply engaged in a one-sided religious war, I believe, is a dangerous fiction. The current government, led by President Tinubu, a Muslim married to an ordained Christian minister, reflects this complexity. Out of the 9 top security chiefs, 5 are Christians, including the Chief of Defense Staff and the head of the Air Force. Nigeria is a diverse, complex democracy, and we must treat it as such. The suffering in Nigeria is immense. The insecurity is a major issue for all Nigerians. We must stand firmly with every victim and survivor. Violence against any person of faith is unacceptable. With approximately 8,000 civilians of all faiths killed so far this year, the pain felt by Christians and Muslim communities alike deserve our compassion and, again, not our exploitation. The truth is that Nigeria's wave of violence stems from a complex mix of ethnic, economic, external, and religious tensions. Boko Haram and other extremist groups have killed both Christians and Muslims indiscriminately. Communities across Nigeria, from farmers in Plateau State to herders in the north, have suffered unspeakable, staggering losses. To simplify this tragedy by calling it solely a Christian genocide, I believe ignores the full, difficult truth and the suffering of all Nigerians. Therefore, the answer, I believe, is not and will never be American bombs or boots on the ground. We have not given diplomacy an exhaustive chance. I have previously denounced the threat to deploy U.S. troops to Nigeria, calling it a dangerous overreach that risks reigniting colonial-era patterns of intervention on the African continent. We cannot allow the sudden interest in Nigeria's internal conflict to be a pretext for military action when this same impulse was absent in the Sudan, in the DRC, or the Central African Republic. Furthermore, we must address the sheer hypocrisy of a military-first approach when non-military support has been repeatedly undermined. As the New York Times' Nicholas Kristof has rightly stated, Trump aid cuts kill more Christians than jihadists. Deep cuts to the USAID program and global food and health programs have severely limited America's ability to provide the kind of non-military support that was estimated to be saving the lives of more than 250,000 Nigerians each year. When you defund USAID and shut down peace-building initiatives, you leave communities vulnerable. You don't stabilize Africa with missiles. You stabilize it with schools, with clean water, with economic opportunity, with true partnership. The path to peace in Nigeria must come through dialogue, development, and dignity, not denomination. America should be a partner in healing, not a hammer looking for a nail. I urge this subcommittee to prioritize a diplomacy-first approach, fully fund our humanitarian aid and peace-building initiatives, and work with the Nigerian government to eliminate terrorist criminals, securing a safer and more stable future for all Nigerians. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to the testimony. I yield.
So in a nutshell, Donald Trump should give more money to Africa to build more schools, to build hospitals, and all of that. While the African leaders are buying themselves the latest yacht, the latest private jets, and they are high flyers, by the way, buying choice properties across Europe, Europe, Arabia, and America. So USAID. So indeed, he was like pretty much like he's against that. Okay, that diplomacy should be, sort of like used and to be seen to have been exhausted. Here you get now, like instead of sending missiles and all of that. Sorry about that. I should have removed that. Sorry, the sound. So what I was saying, if you didn't hear me clearly, was that all of that statement from that congressman was that Donald Trump should give more money to Africa so that they can build schools. They can build, instead of sending missiles. And canceling the USAID by Donald Trump has left some of these African countries vulnerable, because they couldn't get non-military support like the USAID and all that. But there are others. It's quite an interesting conversation though, right? Because they are arguing for and against, right? And let's go to those ones who are like in support, including the one that actually mentioned what took place today in Nigeria, the conviction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on a dead law, a country without law, country led by so corrupt people that they would rather monetize their people's misery than find a solution. Listen to this argument.
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a clear example. In 2022, Nigeria's Court of Appeal struck down the charges against him and ordered his release. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention has also called for his unconditional release. Yet he remains in solitary confinement, in deteriorating health, and recently had to represent himself in court. Nigeria has signaled that the law is optional and targeting Christians is fair game. Just hours ago this morning, despite the pleas and cries of the Nigerian people and many Nigerian lawmakers, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted on all charges. For fiscal year 2025, the U.S. has requested nearly $8 billion for sub-Saharan Africa. But when Americans see political prisoners, judicial defiance, and the slaughter of Christians, They understandably ask as they meet their own struggles, why should our tax dollars support governments that refuse to protect their own people? Is our aid aiding a genocide? Nigeria is a nation of tremendous potential, but that potential is being choked out by violent persecution of its Christian population. No country can build a stable future where churches are burned, believers are killed, and communities live in fear.
It just seems to make all the sense in the world to me. It's like, here we are. I mean, I understand we're not going to get like ISIS to lay their arms down. That's probably more of a kinetic option there that's going to result in their arms no longer being brought up in anger against Christians. But in any event, this seems to be something that, obviously, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is something that they should be doing, they should be looking at. And while I got just a couple seconds left, I would urge the Nigerian government to take a look at pardoning Sunday Jackson, who is an individual who was fighting for his own life, defending his life against one of these Fulani militants. That Fulani militant lost his life in that struggle.